Today, on the freshly minted Handful series, I'm going to talk about mixing live kick drum. So let's jump right in. The song we're working on today is my band's song, Giving Up on Giving Up. And for this album, we didn't use any samples, so what we're doing is we're going to cover the 5 steps I took to mix the live kick drum to get it really slamming in the mix. So, jumping into Pro Tools, your first step would be bussing your tracks together, and we're going to open up Drum Leveler. Just one of my favorite plugins ever made. It's an incredible tool, levels all your drum hits out like the name suggests, but also a killer gate. So your first step would be jump in and bust these tracks together, which we're sending it to the kick live track here. Get a balance going. For this, I have the out mic down 7 dB, and we're going to open up Drum Leveler. Quick info, the kick in mic is a Beta 91A, and the kick out mic really could be anything. We recorded these drums at my buddy Kenny Gardner's studio in Houston. Shout out Kenny. I typically will use a D112. I have an E602 I like. It really could be anything though. You're just trying to pick up some low end outside of the kick drum. So let's hear how this sounds. Sounds like a raw kick. Drum Leveler. You can see our compression's around 80% and our gate negative 40. You can see the automation grabbing that lighter hit. We're gating out the stuff we don't want, keeping the punch. And yeah, step 2, much like snare, is a 2-part EQ. This time I go Pro Q first because I know I really want a big top shelf to get that clicky, the snappy part of the kick in there. So let's go one by one in order I would go, first being this big high shelf. There we go. That's what we're looking for. There's a peak here. It's a little bit of cymbal. It's a little bit of just too much clickiness, so I took this out next. So still getting a lot of that presence boost, but without this little bit that was bothering me. The next step would be getting rid of some of the mids and low mids. I typically like somewhere around 180. This I went 160, and we're just going to cut a pretty good amount of that out because we want the low end to really show in this kick. So we're getting some of that nastiness out. And then somewhere around 500, this again a little bit lower at 374. Get some of that like papery sound out, that mid honkiness. So yeah, after EQ1 sounding pretty good, but EQ number 2 will be the SSL again. All the way up at 16, just cranking out 10 dB. A little bit high pass filter. And then trying to get that low end to boom through 8 dB at 55. So I'll just show you these real quick. I would do the low end first. Sounding pretty good. And then the top end, we're getting a little more really high snap out of it. Yeah, sounds good. I mean, you're getting some low end, you're getting a bunch of high end. We needed to kick through the mix, and we're on our way. The next step, step number 3, would be compression. And for that, we're reaching for the distressor. We're going slow attack, a fast release. We can see we have the detect circuit, pushing the mids up, low end out, and we got distortion number 2 on. So punching through, nice character to it. I really love the distressor on drums. I mean, who doesn't, but I love it. Yeah, compression done. Step 4 is controlling the bleed. We're gonna, again, like the snare, go back a slot. When we introduce compression, we're bringing up some of that bleed. We're only going negative 10 this time. Kill a little bit of that bleed. The goal isn't really to get rid of all of it. It's to tame it. So Soloed, of course, you still hear it a little bit, but I think that sounds really good. And our last step, step number 5, saturation and a little secret sauce at the end. Decapitator on drums always sounds good. I really like it on kick. Not doing a lot here. 0.7, mix at 100%. Just giving a little character to it. And then I haven't cranked the low end because I know my last step is Bassment. This is a new plugin for me, and I really like the way it sounds. It's kind of in the R bass range of things, I guess. Just really super cool low end out of this thing. We're not abusing it, but it sounds good. I'll crank the shrink so you can hear what it's doing. So yeah, you kind of get into that EDM kick territory, which maybe you want that, maybe you don't. For this, 50%, pretty good. And yeah, let's hear this kick before and after in the drum mix. And that's my handful of things that I do to live kick drums to make them sound awesome. Again, if you go down in the description, I'll have a link to my band's song, Giving Up on Giving Up. If you want to check it out, hit the subscribe button to keep up with everything I'm doing. Give me a comment if you like the way I mix this kick. Tell me if you're doing some of the same stuff or if you're doing a little bit different. Thanks for checking out my video. I'll be back next week with another handful of things for you to do. Thanks.